Welcome to the ultimate Tolkien tournament. This is Middle-earth Madness. Welcome back to the final night of the Elite Eight, as we find out who will claim our final two spots in the Final Four. We're joined by Engine Chief, creator of the old battle engine. How are you tonight?
I'm good.
All right, well, let's see our bracket here. And let's show the folks where we're at. All right. So I'm at MiddleEarthMadness.com, bracket tracker subpage. Follow along at home if you want. Tonight we are fighting on the right side of the bracket in the quarterfinals. How did our characters get here? Well, Aragorn beat Azakal of Belegost and Elrond, his foster father, to claim the 2 seeds for the race of men. In other words, out of all those 4 2 seeds, Aragorn was the best, and he, being a man, represents men in the quarterfinals. Thranduil, similarly for the 7 seeds, he beat Glowing, and then he slew Ugluk, and he will represent the elves. In fact, the last elf in the field ends up being Thranduil. No Legolas, no Elrond, no Glorfindel, no Gil-galad, but Thranduil. So, go figure. Bottom half of the bracket, we have the Barrow Wight tonight fighting the Olog High. The Barrow Wight's path slew Eomer, and then slew the Dwarf Lord Thrain, former King Under the Mountain. Well, should have been the King Under the Mountain, and never was, as it turns out, in terms of actually inhabiting Erebor as king, right? They, of course, were evicted by Smaug. Nonetheless, the Barrow Wight advances to fight the Olog High, who slew Helm Hammerhand in his first fight, and then got the better of Dane Ironfoot to advance to tonight. And so those are our 2 fights tonight. First would be the Barrow Wight against the Olog High. All evil, Engine Chief, right up your alley.
Right.
Yeah, so Engine Chief is playing as evil creatures in our bracket. Speaking of which, here is the latest score of, I call it a bracket, but it's our bracket pool, right? Our side betting pool that we've got going here with Chucky, Haunty, Pattyman, and Engine Chief, all making their picks. You know, like everyone would. Typical bracket. You make your picks. You get points for correct picks. You get no points for incorrect picks. That's represented here on the chart by the blue subsection at the bottom. Games on your key, right? But we're getting into the rounds now where your picks for that bracket are twice as valuable each round as they were in the last. So I believe tonight are the 4-point picks. In other words, if you pick correctly tonight for the characters that advance, you get 4 points. Next round it'll be 8, and in the finals it's 16. Now the orange that you see here are the bonus points you get for the race that you're playing as, winning games that you also picked. So for example, if I pick Thranduil to win the whole thing, and I'm playing as elves, I get bonus points for Thranduil advancing rounds because he's an elf. And so when you add all those points together, we have Engine Chief in the lead, slight lead over Pattyman, who's playing as humans. Engine Chief, of course, as we mentioned just a second ago, playing as evil. And then we have Chucky as the Naugrim, still with a chance, I believe. A couple of dwarves left. 1 dwarf left in this field now. So he needs that character to do well. And then Haunty, hanging on for dear life, his only hope in the field, playing as elves, will be Thranduil. But this is of key interest to Engine Chief because the winner of this will be the last evil creature in the playing field. So, having said that, Engine Chief, I am going to go out on a limb and guess that you would like to see the Olag High win this fight.
I don't think so. Why?
Well, because he's the higher seed, right? So he would have the most favorable odds.
Oh, is he the better seed? Okay, then I do. Yeah. Okay.
So the Olag is the 3 seed on this side of the bracket, facing the Battle White, who's the 6.
Okay.
As we bring up the battle screen here, this is the
So
battle
that's what I'm
engine.
thinking, yeah. Plus, he might go on to win future battles.
Exactly, right. You want your best odds. And as we bring up the screen here, what jumps out? So blue line is Olag High. Green line is the Battle White. That gives us a snapshot of their basic abilities. The white is going to be more dexterous. That makes sense. He's, an undead spirit, sort of insubstantial. He also leads in the magical kind of things: spirit, magic, stamina, and elusiveness. Whereas the Olag High, big advantage in the exact categories you'd expect: ferocity, striking, the brute strength and toughness categories, right? So on offense, ferocity and striking, but also on defense, armor and toughness. So exactly like you'd see it, or expect to see it, I would think. Now, quick look at the character cards here before we get to our fight. Just want to re-emphasize for folks, you can follow along at home. Go to MiddleEarthMadness.com, bracket tracker, click on the characters, and you'll see how they did in the regular season, as we call it, right? The round robin that determines the record you see here on the character card. So the Battle White, how did he do? 13 and 18, 6 seed. Had some good wins. Elendil, Aragorn, Olag High, who he fights tonight, interesting, and Círdan, but he also lost to an 8 seed in Bard, an 8 seed in Balin, a 6 seed in Imrahil, and a 8 seed in Grishnak. And he lost 18. There's 5 more losses than wins. So, not the best record. Talent-wise, he's got very good stamina, 90. But not much else going on offense, interestingly. On defense, good valor, good elusiveness, good spirit, and good dexterity. Right? So engaging this guy to get hits on him or hitting him from range is going to be tough. He's very elusive, and he's got some valor to withstand some damage. Now, a quick look at the Olag High. He was 18 and 13. So, this is your difference between a 3 seed and a 6 seed. Pointed out pretty clearly here. Right? Key victories against Aragorn, Glorfindel, a 1 seed there. Shelob, a 2 seed. The Watcher in the Water, a 4 seed. Or maybe, no, he was 4 seed. But he, again, some bad losses. Lost to Bard, Imrahil, Faramir, can't call that too bad. And the Battle White, the guy he's fighting tonight. Key stats for the Troll are going to be ferocity, of course. Maybe one of the most ferocious opponents in the game. Striking, obviously he's a Troll. If he hits you, it's going to be with some force. And then on defense, toughness and decent armor, because again, these Olag High were the armored trolls of Mordor. So let's get the old, as we welcome Farmer David to the group. How are you doing, Farmer David?
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I have some background noise at the moment.
No worries, we're just kicking off the first fight of the night. Battle White against the Olag High.
Yeah, this one will be fun.
This is the Engine Chief fight.
I'm going for the Olag High. I don't know why.
As we pull up the battle engine yet again, this says, so the robots, the AI, we'll call it, the algorithm says the Barrel White is going to prefer range combat here with the death fog of the Barrows. The Olog High is going to prefer melee with his heavy blade. About like you'd expect here. The Barrow White, pretty even between ranged and melee. But the battlefield conditions slightly favor the Olog. So each character is going to use their preferred weapon 83% of the time. Any last thoughts before we kick this one off, fellas?
I'm going to say that the Barrow White is going to win, and I kind of hope I'm not white. Ha! What?
Yeah.
White. Yeah.
He hopes he's not white. Nice.
I'm like, what did he say? Fuck me for?
Exactly. And with that, let us fight. In our first fight of the second night of the Elite Eight, we have an all-evil matchup. The Barrow White against the Olog High. Now, let us fight. The first attack goes to the Barrow White, using a ranged attack and instantly draws blood on the troll to the tune of 4.5 damage. Back comes the troll, the Olog High of Mordor. An attack. Forced to use his less favorable weapon. He tries a chain thrash, unsuccessful. Back comes the Barrow White. Death Fog misses. Olog High counters, using the heavy blade can't engage. As we mentioned in the pregame, the Barrow White is very wily, high elusiveness. Might be difficult for the troll to get shots. He's going to have to do damage when he can. The Barrow White Death Fog misses. Back comes the Olog High. His first wound, only very slight damage. Not even a full point. And back comes the Barrow White. A hit, no damage. The Olog High counters. Can't engage the wily White. Back comes the Barrow White. A hit, no damage. Off the armor of the troll. Now the troll's turn. He engages, can't hit. The Barrow White retaliates. A hit and a wound! Not even a point of damage, chipping away. And it's the Barrow White through 11 rounds. Now the Olog High gains the initiative and attacks. A hit, no damage. Back comes the Barrow White. And a hit and a wound there by the Olog. 23.7. Slight smite, but the Olog High takes the lead in the 14th round with a slash from the heavy blade. Now, the Barrow White engages, can't hit. Back comes the Olog High. A hit and a wound, how much? Slain! A death stroke by the Olog High.
I was white.
Olog High is done messing around. And he wins to advance to the Final Four. Very nice. So that was close until it wasn't.
Yeah, just that smackdown.
Yep. Kind of
Now,
as you'd
the
expect.
Olog High is the best seed that has made it to the Final Four so far, pending the next fight, right?
Say that again? Sorry.
The best seed that's made it through so far is the Olog High.
Well, let us see. He's the 3. A 2 will have a chance later. But
2 will
so
have a chance
far-
later.
Yeah, you're right. A 5 up here, that was Faramir. And then an 8 in Balik. Yeah, you're right. So the highest seed so far in the Final Four is the Olog High. Good call, Engine Chief.
Yeah.
But we will see now if Aragorn can beat that mark as the 2 seed in the field, representing humans against the elves. Let us have a look. Aragorn, let's pull up his character card. Again, you can follow along at home. MiddleEarthMadness.com bracket tracker page, and then pull up the bracket, click on any character, and you get these nice little character cards here. shows us his record in the what we call kind of the regular season, right? The round robin where everyone fights everyone. Aragorn did pretty well, 21-10. That earns him a 2 seed because some of those victories were against studs like Duri, Círdan, Shelob, and Gil-galad. No really bad losses here either. I mean, Galadriel, the Barrow White should have beat the Barrow White, right? I mean, he probably wins most of the fights against Galadriel, but that's pretty close. Eomer, you're going to win most of the fights against him based on, superior equipment, if not brute strength, right? No strength advantage necessarily, but maybe some fighting skill and some Numenorian and some inherent advantages like that. And then Osmuk, one of the better orcs. So how did Aragorn do it? Well, high ferocity, very good ferocity, good stamina, decent agility. I mean, good agility, good striking. He doesn't suck at anything on offense. And for a man, 50 magic really isn't that bad. He's half Numenorian after all and was raised partly by elves, right? So you see what he can do magically with the Athalas and things like that. Numenorians, of course, Numenorians descend. Technically speaking, they have some Maiar blood if you go back far enough. That comes from Luthien, having married Beren. Luthien descended, of course, from Melian, one of the Maiar in the First Age, who married an elf for the first time that they mixed Maiar blood with Elven blood. But it was a long time ago. But blood is blood. It carries on throughout the lineage that Aragorn has here. And so, to be technically precise, Aragorn is part magical creature, right? He's partly divine. He has some divine blood through the elven nexus with the Maiar race. So 50 magic for Aragorn, not bad. On defense, 98 valor, pretty much maxed out. You're not going to find a more valorous character, really, in all the Legendarium. I think you have a couple guys that are 99. Húrin, maybe, from the First Age. 80 toughness, again, good for the race of men. 75, decent elusiveness. Now, okay, so his armor is actually bad, or subpar, you'd say. His spirit's pretty good for a human. Decent dexterity, decent deflection. Just a stud, right? He's a 2 seed for a reason. And he is fighting Legolas's dada, the Elven King of Mirkwood, Thranduil. How did he do in the regular season? Not great. 13-18. That's why this is actually... Oh, no, this is correct. He is a 7 seed. Sorry. Yeah, so 7 seed for a reason. Key victories against Helm Hammerhand, not bad. Khamûl, that's a 1 seed. He slew the Nazgûl. Aragorn, who he's fighting tonight. And Dane. So interesting. He did beat Aragorn in our regular season. But however, he lost to two 8 seeds, Grishnak and Bard. A 6 seed in Thrain, I think. And a 7 seed in Eomer. Not great. Really, we don't need to belabor his skills because what he's going to do and what he does, which is try to wail on you with his bow. And he's 85 accuracy with that bow, 77 piercing. So that is that's saying he's not going to miss very often. And when he hits, 77 is not bad. To get into the 90s, you really need a magical attack or Dragonfire. For arrows, you're not going to do too much better than I think 88 is what Beleg's Strongbow, a First Age Elven Archer, would have, right? 88, 89, something like that off the top of my head. Legolas is, a little better than his dad, low 80s, 83, 84 for piercing, I'm saying. And so that's what he's going to do. He wants to engage from range, and every time he's forced to use a melee attack is going to be to his disadvantage. So, initial thoughts on that one, guys, as I pull it up in the old battle engine.
Well, I have to root for Thranduil based on the brackets, but it's just going to be a lucky shot if he wins it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, as I pull up the battle engine here, let's see what we got.
This is another fun one, just based off the lore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of two main characters from the two different primary series in The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, you know?
Definitely.
They would have never... I don't know. Thranduil was at the Council of Elrond, right?
Ooh, great question. I don't think he was in the books, but that'd be one to look up and fact check us on. Drop it in the comments, because I'm not 100% sure. I think he sent Legolas.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. Interesting. Okay, I don't know why. I think it was in the... can't remember his name. The... Barchi, or however you say it. Bakchi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they represented him at the Council of Elrond in that, but again, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just confusing him with that Elrond that they do.
It's entirely possible. It's possible that he was actually there. I'm not sure which elves were actually there, so that's good fodder for Googling.
Anyhow, I guess my secondary question to that would just be, did they ever interact, these two? Like, not in an aggressive way.
They did. In the Hunt for Gollum,
not
right?
At the council, he sent Legolas.
Yeah, okay, that's true.
Engine Chief says he did send Legolas to the Council of Elrond, but the answer to your question, Farmer David, is yes. The Hunt for Gollum, I believe Aragorn was with Gandalf, tracking Gollum to Mirkwood, where he escaped. There was an orc raid on Mirkwood in Thranduil's kingdom, right, when they were staying there, and that's what led Gollum to escape. He gets away from Gandalf. Now, here's the part you need to fact check me on: is I don't know if Aragorn was there during that escape battle thing. But right away, Gandalf links up with Aragorn, and they start hunting for Gollum. So I want to say they did cross paths.
Okay, that'll be a cool detail in that, I guess, upcoming movie in a couple of years.
Yep, yeah. There's some real potential there. During that whole thing, and Aragorn was about 10 years old during the events of The Hobbit. We said that on a previous stream. I actually wasn't aware of that until I started looking at characters for this tournament here, and so you don't think about Aragorn living in Rivendell as a 10-year-old, but when the dwarves of Thorin's company come during the events of The Hobbit, Aragorn's a 10-year-old boy, just hanging out in Rivendell with Elladan and Elrohir and whoever else. All right, so who you guys taking in this one? Engine Chief has to root for Thranduil. Who you got from her, David?
Yeah, I'll go with Aragorn. Not just to be contrary, but I don't know. It's hard to root against him. I mean, or go against him, really, just in terms of his skill. Yeah, he's got to avoid those arrows, but
Say again, Engine Chief.
He becomes king for a reason.
Yeah, dude, he's the White Knight of the books. Hard to dislike the guy. Thranduil, on the other hand, I think you can dislike, especially. I did not like his depiction in the Peter Jackson Hobbit movie, right?
No, not at all.
They took some liberties there, and maybe that's not true to lore. You could argue, but even his flimsy arguments in the Hobbit, I deserve treasure because what? The weakest claim. I don't know, maybe this is my inner lawyer coming out, but it's like the weakest legal argument ever to treasure when he shows up at the Lonely Mountain with his elves and saying, with his hand out saying, mine. And this is the guy that imprisoned the dwarves and interrogated them, having no intention to let them loose, And then he wants part of the dwarven treasure. I got nothing. So go Aragorn. I'm gonna not be Switzerland on this one. And with that, let us fight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the last fight of the Elite Eight for the last spot in the Final Four. And we have Aragorn, son of Arathorn, against Thranduil, father of Legolas. Let them fight. First attack is going to go to Thranduil. But he's forced to use his less favorable weapon. The elven long knives do no damage to Aragorn. Aragorn counters. A hit and a wound off the bat with Anduril. Only 1.5 damage. Thranduil comes back. He shoots with his bow, slight smite, and Aragorn takes an arrow. And he's down, but not out. He gets himself up off the mat, dusts himself off, attacks. Can't do anything. Can't engage Thranduil. Thranduil counters with the bow. He hits. Does no damage. Back comes Aragorn. Another hit with the Dunedain bow, forced to attack from range there. Doesn't do any damage. Thranduil attacks. Cannot engage. Aragorn counters. A hit and a wound, and he evens the fight with the Dunedain bow. Interesting. So they're in a hybrid style fight here, both using both forms of attack, ranged and melee. So that could tell the story here. Let's keep watching. Through 9 rounds, we have a very slight lead for Aragorn. 1 point. Thranduil attacks with his bow, misses. Aragorn counters with Anduril, hits, doesn't do any damage. Back comes Thranduil. A hit and a wound, another stroke! And now Aragorn has taken 2 arrows. But he's fighting Boromir style too, with 2 shafts sticking out of his chest. But you are never out of the fight, especially if you are a Dunedain Ranger. Comes Aragorn. Can he do any damage? He scores a hit, but it doesn't do any damage to the wily elf. Back comes Thranduil. He engages, can't hit. Aragorn counters. Engages, can't hit. Thranduil attacks. Engages, can't hit. And they're dancing a little bit through 15 rounds. Circling, missing, looking for angles. Aragorn hits, wounds! Oh, he takes Thranduil down to 8. Oh, he takes him down to the very brink of death. And now, in the 16th round, advantage Aragorn. As we've seen before, all it takes is 1 arrow from a guy with the skill of Thranduil. These elven archers, they're nasty, right? What's gonna happen? Thranduil gets himself up, dusts himself off, draws his bow, and hits. Not enough damage, though. Back comes Aragorn. A hit and a wound isn't enough! Slay!
Hooray!
And Aragorn slays Thranduil, advancing to the Final Four. Good one, good one, good one. All right. Well,
So now Aragorn is the favorite in the tournament, right?
highest seed left. Yep. So he's the 2. Your Olog High is the 3, and they fight each other in this next round to then be probably the favorite in the championship. But I will show you instead of just talking about it, because we are going to go in here and we are going to advance Aragorn, who just slew Thranduil. And wait for it. Oh, we're back to the other side here. Ah, yes. Golf clap for Aragorn, ladies and gentlemen. Aragorn is in the Final Four. Now, same thing with the Olog High. We can go ahead and advance him to set up our next fight. Oh. Come on, bracket. There we go. Aragorn against the Olog High. Now, over here,
There you
we...
go. It all. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so here's our final four.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the 8 seed Balin, the 5 seed Faramir. So dwarf against man on the left side. And then on the right side, the 2 seed Aragorn against the 3 seed the Olag High. Man against evil creature. So Patty Man is going to have the lead in our bracket now with 2 men in the final 4. But it's probably... I don't know if it's an... Yeah, I don't think Hati can win this anymore, so he's eliminated because he was elves. But if Balin wins it, I think Chucky's going to win. If Aragorn or Faramir wins it, obviously Patty Man wins. And if the Olag High wins it all, Engine Chief wins. Is that fair to say? Am I doing the mental math right on that?
Well, there's individual game picks in addition to the racial picks, so it might not be that way. But
True. Yeah.
But certainly the odds are.
Okay. Yeah. You're 100% right. I was leaping to conclusions a little
So Farmer David picked. Wait, was it elves? Sorry, I forgot. Dwarves.
Yeah, he's fighting as Naugrin. Dwarves.
Yeah. So he picked them both in the individual games and in the racial thing. So if Balin wins, certainly Farmer David ought to win.
Yeah.
But other people didn't pick in that fashion, so they kind of split their own votes.
So this should be accurate if it refreshed, right? Let me just refresh to make sure. But this should portray so this did refresh. This is accurate just for bracket picks. So Engine Chief is still in the lead in terms of bracket picks.
Okay, I can't read the fonts. Can you read me the scores?
18 for Engine Chief. 17 for Patty Man. 11 for Porcat. 10 for Hanti.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Hanti's out of it, as you said. He isn't getting any points anymore because his characters are out of the field.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of points in the last round. So
yep.
Very likely it's what you said.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, that is all for tonight. Tomorrow, we will fight our final 4 fights, setting up a Thursday night championship. Could be dwarf against man, could be dwarf against evil, could be man against man, could be man against evil. Any way you slice it, it's going to be a good one. No 1 seeds in the final 4, and only 1 2 seed. So, granted, that's kind of how this format works, right? You're only going to get only one seed even makes it to the quarterfinal, and 1 2 and so forth. But it's part of what makes this format neat. Any last thoughts, guys? Drop a comment if you're out there. Like, follow us on social media if you would. Pick your favorite platform. We're on it. Go find us. Links are at MiddleEarthMadness.com to all our socials. Bottom of any page. That's probably the easiest way. Just hit up MiddleEarthMadness.com. Any bottom of any page, links to all of our socials. We got a link tree too with links to all of our socials. So we're easy to find. We're out there. Come support us. Stay tuned. Tell a friend. We appreciate it. And with that, in the words of Gandalf, the Grey, or the White, I'm not sure. You can only come to the morning. I always get that backwards. You cannot come to the morning except through the shadows. And where there is light, there is always hope. For you are never out of the fight. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Final Four.
Great fight.